Good evening and welcome to the Red Sea podcast. This is your full-time show. Liverpool 2, Everton 0. Liverpool continue to chase down Manchester City and are still only 1 point behind with a better goal difference. Meanwhile, the blue side of Merseyside are looking over their shoulder at potential relegation. We're going to get all into it in a moment. It's just myself today, so please feel free to get involved in the comments. Let's get on with the show.
Tell the world we are Liverpool champions of England.
We've conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Palestine to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. The Paisley and the Shankly, the fields of Anfield gold. We are all supporters, and we come from Liverpool.
Hi, thanks for joining us. Just myself tonight. So as I say, please get involved in the comments. Make this as interactive as possible tonight. James and Courtney are both busy doing other things. So thought I'd jump on rather than just have no show whatsoever. Bearing in mind it is a Merseyside derby and Everton are compounded to the relegation zone. I'll try not to smile too much while I say that. And Liverpool continue to trace down this potential quadruple. But good Lord, was it a battle? Was it one of those Merseyside derbies for the ages? It was a grind. It was a battle. It was hard work. Liverpool started off all a possession really. Everton looking to frustrate Liverpool. Really tricky kind of approach from them. I thought it might be similar to the Manchester United game. Another derby in the same week. We looked at these couple of fixtures and thought, are these kind of potential banana skins? Are these kind of the games where you don't want when you're chasing down a title? Teams that aren't necessarily chasing anything specifically themselves, especially Manchester United now. But are looking to frustrate, their nearest rivals. And Manchester United were very, very easy to park off. And Everton were, to be fair to them, a lot more difficult to get the result through. And, the goals didn't come until deep into the second half. We started with that 4-3-3. Klopp went with Jota on the left, Mane through the middle and Salah on the right this afternoon. Mane has been playing through the middle a lot more recently, but that's more because Diaz has been fitted onto that left-hand side. So I was quite surprised to see, a Jota Mane Salah start with Jota on the left-hand side and Mane continued through the middle. Usually when those three start, you're likely to see Jota start as the central striker. Bobby Firmino stood out with that foot injury. Even when he has been fit, has probably been fifth choice if we're all completely honest with ourselves out of that front five. Henderson again drops out to the bench for a derby game, which is interesting. Yes, he played against Man United a few days ago. Yes, he'll probably play against Villarreal on Wednesday in the Champions League. So good rotation from Klopp. Again, not majorly impressed with Naby Keita, if I'm brutally honest. You can see how Everton turned up. Lampard turned on his inner Jose Mourinho, didn't he? That's shit house our way to hopefully to get a draw. Burnley winning earlier in the day. Everton looking at this game thinking if we can have a point, and that'll be a good result for us. And there's easier games to come. Yes, they've been pretty shocking away from home, so I don't think they were expecting a lot. So they can't go up 11v11 against this Liverpool team. They were going to be struggling this afternoon. Everton's lineup is pretty pants. No Calvert-Lewin doesn't really help them, but Holgate, Keane, Mikalenko, Coleman, it's a shambolic back four. That's a championship team. Iwobi, Doucouré and Allen in the midfield. Again, really poor. Richarlison let himself down, I think, tonight. I think he's been poor for a while. I don't think he's had a great season, and he was spending more time on the floor than he was actually standing up on the pitch trying to make things happen for his team. Demarai Gray, I thought was decent. I was surprised he was brought off for Rondon. He had that decent shot in the second half. Alisson was scrambling. It was wide, but I always feel Demarai Gray, he's got something. He offers you something. But man of the match for Everton tonight was Anthony Gordon. I was extremely impressed with him. Yes, first half he gets booked for. I mean, is dive the right word? I guess it is. I guess the definition of the yellow card was a dive. Naby Keita plants his foot, does his inner Sturridge dance to avoid getting booked, and to show that he's not actually reaching for that tackle. But yeah, Anthony Gordon does go into his foot. He does dangle a leg and he does go over. It's never a penalty in a million years. The debate is, was it a dive? I think 50-50 on that one personally. I think some refs give that as a dive, some just wave it away as a as a coming together and not a penalty. But yeah, Liverpool went into half time 0-0, all the possession, but not really many chances on goal. So I'm looking at Everton and I'm thinking, they're literally parking the bus. They've got a back 10 basically. They've got one out ball. It's Anthony Gordon down that left hand side. That's all they were looking for the whole half. And it wasn't really happening. They were trying to turn it into a dogfight. There was a coming together. There was a foul on Fabinho. Decore has a couple of swipes at him, and then there's a big fight. So yeah, it was one of them games where I felt that the usual 4-3-3 wasn't going to work. So Liverpool made subs into the second half, which I'll get onto shortly. But just before that, I just want to touch on Sadio Mane. And there's 4 people in here watching, so please give me your thoughts on this or the game in general, or anything that you want to talk about. For me, Sadio Mane is getting a little bit frustrating. Fantastic football player, absolutely superb. But these little yellow cards that Sadio Mane keeps picking up now for silly little things, they're going to cost him at some point. Whether that's a long-term suspension, because not long-term, but in terms of totting up your yellow cards over a period of time, ending up in a suspension, which isn't ideal. But I think he's been quite lucky to stay on the pitch. If I'm honest, that there was, there's the chance where he kind of puts his hand in Allen's face, and then he puts his finger in Holgate's face. Technically, by the law, any hand to the face is a straight red card. So yeah, he's not punched him. He's not, one of them looks a little bit like he's aimed for his eye, which is not. I don't actually think he has aimed for his eye. I think he's just kind of, again, gone to prod him away, and it just happens to catch him there. I think if he's aiming for his eye, he would get him in the eye. And I don't think Sadio Mane is that kind of player. But we've seen this a few times now. There's a lot of yellow cards for ill discipline now. There's the elbow at Stamford Bridge on Azpilicueta, I think it was. There's a lot of these times where Sadio Mane is kicking out or hitting out or doing something that's not necessary. And there's no need, absolutely no need whatsoever for him to do that. And if he gets a red card for that, which, would have been probably, I would have said harsh potentially, but, he does it twice. He could have had a yellow card for both. He could have a red card for one of them. That could have cost us the league title today. If we go down to 10 men, that lets Everton completely off the hook in a game that we're dominating in. So for me, I want to see Sadio Mane stop this pretty much now. It's getting too much now, and for me, he's walking a tightrope, because one of these times, he's gonna build a reputation for himself. The referees are always going to review these matches. They're going to look back and go, do you know what? You could have given him a red card for either of those, especially if you saw both. So he's going to get reputation, but the referees are going to be looking out for this now. It's not the first time, the second time, or even the third time that he's been booked for this. He's had 4 yellow cards this season, and they've all been for this kind of thing. So for me, a little bit disappointed from Sadio Mane today. A performance again wasn't particularly brilliant. He had that chance in the first half, which was over the bar, nice little turn, but he was one of the men to make way in that double substitution. Big hello to QNTV. Watcher from the last video. Afternoon to you, mate. I do appreciate you joining in. Please, as I said, I'm on my own today, so any questions, any interactions, any comments that you want to make about the game. Obviously, I know you're a Chelsea fan, and they had a 1-0 win slightly earlier today. But yeah, please feel free to get involved in the show. So yeah, second half comes along. Liverpool make those 2 substitutions, and as I said, the usual 4-3-3 wasn't working. It was evident that it wasn't working, and 10 15 minutes into the second half, it was confirmed that it wasn't working. And Liverpool are playing with a 4-3-3, Keita, Fabinho and Thiago all keeping the ball basically in front of 11 players, and we're trying to probe, we're trying to get some space in behind this basically back 10 that Everton have got on the pitch, and it's not working. We don't need, there was a thing that went up like last 10 minutes possession, like 91-9 to Liverpool, and yeah, that's brilliant, but all that's going to do is we're going to be caught on the counter attack, which we nearly were a couple of times. To be fair, Decore had a decent chance. Gordon, obviously, of course, was heavily involved in the counter attacking style Everton chose to actually do. So, yeah, I felt that the change was needed. I was calling for Diaz. I'll be honest. After about half an hour, I felt that the front 4. If you've got, I know Bobby's out injured at the moment, but at the moment we've got 4 attackers with Origi being, Bobby's step up. If Bobby's on the bench, I don't think Origi potentially is today. So if you're going to go with a front four, which we have done in previous seasons, less so this year, this was the day to do it. And I felt that you don't really need a Keita, Fabinho and a Thiago. Fabinho and Thiago in that double pivot, they've got like 20 something matches that they've started together. They've won every single game. It's a ridiculous record. So, I felt that we had enough to handle Everton's counterattacks with two midfielders and a back four, maybe more of a back two with Trent and Robertson really, really pushing on as the minutes wore on. So I felt that Diaz for Keita was a must. And I was proven correct with that one. One I didn't really see. I mean, Origi comes on, and to be fair, he does Origi things. He's involved in the first goal. He gets the second goal. He's got a great record against Everton, and he is the super sub, isn't he? Whenever we call upon him, sixth choice attacker in this Liverpool squad, and he comes up with the business, doesn't he? So, fair play to Origi. Mane's the guy to be withdrawn as well. Personally, didn't see that one coming. But maybe Klopp's as frustrated as me. He's on the yellow card, which was unnecessary, and he wasn't having a particularly brilliant game. But I think it was more so that he wanted to put Diaz over on that left hand side where Mane had gone over to, in the second half, and kind of wanted an out and out striker in the middle. Mane isn't really an out and out striker naturally. Jota has played there, and Origi is that. He's that all out number 9, isn't he? So I think it was an interesting substitution to make. It was one that he proved that he still trusts Origi to come in, and he did his job. Just a couple of comments here. Storm Thomas, hi from Mongolia. What a fantastic place! Awesome, thank you very much. I think that's the first Mongolia viewer we've had, so welcome along to the show. And I completely agree with you. First half was a shocking game to watch. Second half was still, it was still fractious, wasn't it? But Liverpool did have that little bit of quality, which I'm going to get onto now. And my co-host, not able to join me on screen today, but absolutely getting involved in the comments. The Origi derby, and his record against Everton, I think it 6 or 7 goals in this tie. He's been here for a long time now, Origi, but looks like that might be his last ever Merseyside derby goal, which is a shame. I think he is going to be moving on at the end of the season. AC Milan possibly interested, which is a shame. I get it. He needs to go out and play football. We've brought in Diaz. We've got a front 5 when fit. We've got other players in there, and we're potentially looking at someone else in the summer. The contract situations with the big boys still aren't resolved. So I think Liverpool are potentially looking at bringing in another kind of superstar. I personally don't see Bobby, Mane and Salah all staying beyond next year. My co-host James thinks it could be Sadio Mane that makes way. Personally, for me, I think Bobby is the one that makes way now. I think our style has changed. I don't think we rely on a false 9 anymore to be the team that we are. So I think Bobby's the one to make way, and potentially, he has one more year. Origi goes this summer, and then the summer after that, we buy a new number 9. We buy a new striker. Darwin Núñez is a player that's out there at the moment. There'll be another Darwin Núñez coming along in a couple of years. The Benfica, the Portos of this world, just a constant, production line, isn't it, of world-class talent coming out of those countries and out of those clubs. So I personally think that will be Origi's last Merseyside derby. I think Bobby has another year left potentially as well. But let's talk about the goals. So the first one comes from an unlikely source. Andy Robertson doesn't score many. Probably should score more. He's always good on his assists tallies, but Trent does pop up with a goal here and there. Yes, he does take free kicks, but he has scored from open play as well. And I think Andy Robertson gets chances and gets far enough forward to consistently score more goals. I think he'll be the first person to admit that. So the first goal comes. The subs are made, and an instant impact from Divock Origi. A little bit of hold up play in the penalty area, passes it out to Mo Salah, who's playing quite wide right. We changed to that 4-2-4, and Diaz and Salah become almost old school wingers. Not really a 4-3-3 inside forward. They went really wide and backed up a little bit, and Robertson and Trent almost came underlapping attackers and kind of got into the box a bit more and around the edge. So that was interesting to see. Whenever we do the front 4 previously, it usually becomes a 4-2-3-1. Bobby will jump into that number 10 role, and we'll have probably Mane left, Salah right, and Jota through the middle. But today without Bobby, the front 4, there wasn't really a cam, if you like, a number 10 in that front 4. So we basically went 4-2-4. like I say, with an orthodox left and right winger in Diaz and Salah, and two centre forwards, if you like, in Jota and Origi, two number 9s, which I've personally not seen in this Liverpool team. This Klopp side since, I say this Klopp side since Brendan Rodgers. When we had Suarez and Sturridge up front together. So interesting that we've got that option, which might come in handy in Villarreal and at Anfield at home to the Spanish team as well. So we shall see how that goes. But the ball comes in from Mo Salah for the first goal. Jota jumps and doesn't quite make it. And yeah, luckily, as I say, Andy Robertson underlapping on that left-hand side and gets his head on the ball. And yeah, I mean, he can't really miss. He puts it back across Pickford, which is a great finish. Pickford's already going that way, and he's no way going to get back. I think if Robertson puts it to the right side of Pickford, I think he gets it. So it's smart play with his head, Robertson, to put it back across the goal, and absolutely no chance. And I think once that deadlock was broken, personally, I thought we'd go on and get 2 or 3. I felt that was Everton's resistance that was finally done. But it wasn't really like that. Everton did stick in the game, and we didn't really kill them off as quickly as I'd like. The 62nd minute was 1-0. And we didn't score the second goal until the 85th minute. So interesting that we didn't really find a way through for another 20 minutes to kill the game off completely. So yeah, again, it was good to see that Divock Origi not only came on and made an impact for the first goal, but he got his own goal. He got his goal himself for the second one. Good comment here from Storm. With the front three, Mane should have started on the wing. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I said right at the beginning of the show, when Jota, Mane, and Salah do start in that front three, it's been Jota through the middle every time. As I said, the only reason Mane has really been playing in the number 9 role is because Diaz, Salah, and Mane have been the go-to 3 recently. And out of those 3, Mane is the one that comes into the middle just because Diaz plays on that left-hand side. And, Salah plays on the right because he's the best player in the world in that position. So, yeah, I agree. But into the second goal, obviously, Origi gets his goal. It's another ball in, Everton dropping deeper and deeper. Diaz, again, just before this goal, does that unbelievable kind of behind the foot control, which was absolutely sensational. And, yeah, obviously, after that, gets the overhead kick. What an athlete Luis Diaz is. Instant impact as soon as he came on, Seamus Coleman was up against Jota and Mane and didn't do too badly. If I'm honest, as soon as Diaz came on, it was good night. Seamus Coleman's not the youngest anymore, and dealing with those two first, and then getting Diaz chucked against you for the last half an hour. Wow, good luck with that one. But yeah, Diaz gets his foot on the ball, overhead kick into the ground, and yeah, again Pickford stranded, and Origi gets there first. Fabinho's sweeping up behind him if he doesn't get there, but yeah, again, he can't miss. And you see the embrace between Origi and Klopp at the end of the game, and it's really, really nice to see. Such a big, important player for us over this time. Not necessarily consistently in terms of winning the league and stuff like that, but the odd occasion, in terms of winning the league that season, he popped up and got us some crucial wins. Even the season when we didn't win the league, there was Origi keeping us in that title run in, and obviously the Champions League is. Everybody's going to remember Origi for, aren't they? The Barcelona semi-final and the second goal in the final against Tottenham as well. So, if that is the last that we see of him, if Bobby's back, I think Origi drops maybe even out of the squad. He might stay on the bench depending on, what options Klopp decides to go with. There's 5 subs in the Champions League that you can make. So he might feature against Villarreal, but realistically, if the front 5 stay fit with only 3 subs in the Premier League, I don't see Origi playing again in the Premier League. FA Cup potentially, but again, if you're playing Chelsea, potentially have 120 minutes and penalties, you're going to probably start with Diaz, Mane, Salah, and you've got Jota and Firmino to come on. So it's an interesting one. Minamino's another one, not even in the match day squad today. Oxlade-Chamberlain not in the match day squad. So Harvey Elliott not in the match day squad. So there's a lot of players at this Liverpool squad that aren't even getting a look in. So interesting summer ahead, I think, in terms of transfers. But for today, Liverpool 2, Everton 0. Origi, the cherry on top of the cake, really. Everton, as I say, started in the bottom 3 following Burnley's win over Wolves, and they remain there. So as it stands then, Everton at 18th with 29 points from 32 games with a goal difference of minus 21. Burnley in 17th played 33, so they played a game more. They got 31 points and a minus 16 goal difference. So, Everton have to win their game in hand to get back out of this relegation zone as it stands. So, wow. I mean, I think Everton are in big trouble. I think once Everton lost to Burnley, I felt that was a massive turning point. And then Burnley lost to Norwich, and you thought, oh, I think that's probably let Everton off the hook now. The gap was up to again 3, 4, 5 points, something like that. And the news comes out that Sean Dyche has been sacked by Burnley, and it looks like a masterstroke now. I think they've won 2 and drawn 1 of their last 3. They've got more points, this month than they have a lot of the others combined. But yeah, Burnley have picked it up really, really well. Ben Mee involved in the coaching staff now, and yeah, they look like they're on a bit of a run. Beating Wolves at home is a good result. So Everton, I think, are in big trouble. There will be easier games than away to Liverpool, but I mean, let's have a look at the fixtures that do remain for Everton Football Club. We've got, they've got home to, where are we? Let's try and go down here. Home to Chelsea next. I mean, Chelsea, I've been in a little bit of a poor form, but bounced back a little bit today with a win over West Ham. Fortunate, I think, to get through that. But I mean, I don't see Everton getting anything out of Chelsea at Goodison Park. Everton away to Leicester after that. Again, it's not an easy game. It's winnable, but it's losable. It's one of them strange ones where it depends what Leicester turn up. Leicester have been all over the shop this year, so we shall see what happens there. I might just try and change this light because it's very, very, very bright. Usually full time is done. See if I can adjust myself to block the sunlight out. Oh, there we go. Full time's usually done at night after Liverpool have won in the Champions League or something. So doing it straight after the game in the afternoon, as we approach May. The sun is shining, just like Liverpool's performance. But yeah, as I say, Leicester away after that. Again, you'd probably say draw. That's 1 point. Watford away after that. I think they could probably win that one. I mean, their away form is woeful. I personally think they have to win that one because after that, they're at home to Brentford, who are in brilliant form, home to Palace, who are not an easy game, and they finish away to Arsenal, who are finishing the season really, really strongly as well. So, out of those last, 6 games left they've got now, I don't see anything from Chelsea. A draw at Leicester, win at Watford, just to be nice. Draw at home to Brentford, that's 5. Can they get anything at home to Palace? Maybe. Give them a win of that. That's maybe 8 points and probably lose on the last day to Arsenal. So, if they're getting 8 points and that's being kind, they're finishing on what? 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 37 points they're finishing on. Burnley have already got 31. So they're going to need 7 points from 5 games. That's a couple of wins and a draw. Doable. I think Everton are in big trouble. I really, really do. I think they're going to be really, really struggling to remain in this league. I really, really do. But looking at the other side of the table, obviously as Liverpool fans, Liverpool now played 33, same as Manchester City, trail by 1 point, 80 points for City, 79 for Liverpool. But we have got 4 goal better difference. But I don't look at that too much because, to be honest, Manchester City could go and beat someone 8-0. They've just got 5 against Watford. Jesus got 4. So that goal difference could literally be worn away in one day. So if it was like 10, 11, 12 goal difference, it could be looked at as a half point, if you like, because, if you finish on the same points overall, the goal difference will come into it. Has been decided on goal difference before, Manchester City, Manchester United. So I think 4 goal difference is not a lot in it. I still think we are, it's nice to be the chasing pack, but I still think we are, out of the 3 remaining trophies left, I think the Premier League is the most difficult one to win, purely because it's not in our hands. Champions League, we've got to beat Villarreal over 2 legs and Manchester City or Real Madrid in a one-off game. We have the ability to do that. Chelsea in an FA Cup final, again, I think we're better than them. I think we can beat them, but we're basically relying on West Ham or Wolves to get something against Manchester City in their last 5 games, or an out of the blue 0-0 to come up, or even better, a defeat. But I look at Liverpool. We've gone through Everton's fixtures here. Liverpool have not got the easiest run in at all. We've got Newcastle away next in the Premier League, who are pretty much alongside us, the most informed team in the league, currently sitting 9th. Who were, I think they were 20th or 19th when Eddie Howe came in. So they're in great form. Bruno Guimaraes is firing on all cylinders. So I don't think that's going to be an easy game at all. Home to Spurs, similar to Leicester, aren't they? Tottenham can be brilliant and beat someone 5-0, and they can be terrible and lose to anybody. So at least it's at Anfield. I think if it was at Tottenham, I think we'd maybe look at that as a slightly more difficult game. But yeah, Liverpool's record at Newcastle is good. Home to Tottenham, there are harder games, but there are definitely easier ones. Away to Villa, again, they're in poor form. The Gerrard Coutinho link, but they've gone a little bit quiet lately. Coutinho not quite hitting that kind of level that he has been doing. Away to Southampton, again, they beat Arsenal, but lost 6-0 to Chelsea. Which Southampton are you going to get? It's difficult to say, but you'd think Liverpool could get a win there. Home to Wolves on the last day. Again, Wolves. I think Wolves have become that on the beach team. That they're way too good to get relegated. They're slightly better than the mid-table, but they're not quite good enough to maintain the European push. There's too many big clubs up there to stop them. So that I think that by the last game, we've had them on the last day before. They're not really playing for anything. So in terms of who you want on the last day, home to Wolves, we've had them before. We needed to win. We won. I think that's not a bad one to finish on. So yeah, obviously all eyes now onto the Champions League in midweek. One good point my dad just mentioned, which I forgot to mention. Alisson's copy of Pickford today was absolutely sensational. When the first half, Pickford's on his knees, goes down to waste as much time as physically possible, and towards the end of the game, Liverpool 2-0 up, game's won, 90-something minutes, and Alisson does the exact same thing. Pure banter and top class from Alisson there just before I was to move on to midweek. So in terms of the next game coming up, I don't know if we'll have time to do a Red Sea preview on that one or not. Obviously, during lockdown, etc., there wasn't a lot to do. Myself and James did a lot of shows over a sort of 6-month period. But yeah, we've definitely had other things come up. I've personally had things going on in my life. James obviously has been doing different things in his as well. So not always able to do quite as many shows, but when I'm free, when I can, whether it will be a preview/review, potentially rather than separate ones, just to help out. I used to do that on my own channel, Southern Scouser. I would maybe do a review of a match and a preview of a match at the same time. So it's kind of 2 in 1 rather than a preview, review, etc., especially at this time of the season when there's games. I mean, for Liverpool, every 3 days we have a midweek match every match now, and we're only 1 match away from playing the maximum amount of matches you can play in a season. If we get past Villarreal, we've played in every final of every competition, which is quite sensational, really. But yeah, Villarreal up next. I think we're on the Wednesday, which is at home, first leg, which is not meant to be the advantage. It's meant to be you're meant to be playing away first and home second. But with away goals not counting anymore, I don't think it particularly makes any difference whatsoever. Which will be an interesting game with Emery. The cup specialists, as he's been touted, Europa League specialist for sure, and European specialist definitely, because he's won the most Europa Leagues out of anybody. He's got Sevilla to be brilliant. He's got Arsenal to the final. He's got Villarreal to the semi-final and won the Europa League. So not an easy game. Definitely the best tie you could have hoped for in the semi-final. If you offer me Villarreal in a Champions League semi-final, I'd absolutely bite your hand off. But we need to be careful. And it's going to be interesting who starts in that game, because I look at the team from today. We've made some changes from the Man United game as well, and a couple, but who starts in that Villarreal game for you guys? Let me know in the comments who you think will be the 11 for that Villarreal match, because I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on that one. A couple of comments here. Antio Chill, welcome back, mate. I recognise your name. The way Diaz picked that cross up made me moisten the inside of a dishwasher. Mate, I think the 2 highlights of today were Diaz's touch and Addison's banter of Pickford rather than the actual goals. I'm only joking. To be fair, Robertson, I think, was probably man of the match overall. He had a one off the line and scored the breakthrough goal, and Origi came on as well and did Origi things. As I say, Chelsea next for Everton, doesn't get any easier for them. James, we're going to win all 4. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you, but it's just the league is not in our hands. The only thing for me is we've trailed Manchester City by a point before, and they've remained perfect. They're like, we got to win 5 games out of 5 to win the league. That's fine. That's the only problem I feel. if it was in our hands, we had a chance to beat Man City. I think we were lucky to get out there with a point. I look back on 2-0 up at home to Brighton and we draw 2-2. That if we win that game, we're a point ahead, not a point behind. And we've got the chance to go perfect for the last 5 and win the league. I think that could be the one. I've looked back in the past. We've come 4 points behind Manchester United before. We've drawn with Stoke. We've drawn with newly promoted sides at home. So, whether you lose out on goal difference or by a point, I think you can only look at yourselves, really. As disappointing as that is to lose by a point, I think there's games in this season where Liverpool will look at themselves and go, do you know what? That wasn't good enough. The season we did win the league, we were so perfect for so long that nobody was anywhere near us. So it would be nice to see Liverpool win a title challenge season, if you get what I mean, because we were unchallenged the year we won the league. Every single time we've been involved in the title race, we've not won it. We've been involved with City a few times, Manchester United once or twice, Chelsea as well, Arsenal. Every time we've been close and there's a team against us, we've not won the league. So it would be great to see, if Liverpool can become, immortals really. And as me and James have mentioned many, many times on this channel, the level that this Klopp team has reached, yeah, it's been absolutely sensational. I've supported Liverpool since 1996 and, bar 2001 and 2005, it's not been much to shout about, to be brutally honest with you. In terms of since Jurgen Klopp's been coming in, what a change in this team. So yeah, we've got 1 Champions League, we've got 1 Premier League, 1 Carabao Cup. It's not enough. It sounds greedy, but if you look at the levels this team has reached, the level of football that they can achieve, yes, we've reached in finals and come off the wrong end of them as well, but I just want more. And I think this season, we're still in all 4 competitions. We've already won 1 of them. Champions League is there. Premier League is very, very close, and FA Cup has been ages since we've won that. So why not? Some more comments in here. Another one from Storm. The young fullback played well against Mo Salah. So that was the left back. Was that for Everton? Who was that? That was Mikalenko. Yeah, the Ukrainian lad. Yeah, he was all right. I personally don't think he's anything special. I think he was okay. I just don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to go on to anything much better. But obviously, playing with what's going on in his home country to any kind of level is absolutely sensational. Some absolutely hats off to him to be putting in performances at a Premier League level while all that's going on in your own country is quite incredible. But yeah, for me, I don't look at Everton's team and think anybody was particularly special apart from Anthony Gordon from today's game, if I'm completely honest. Jason, welcome to the channel. I really appreciate it. If you've not subscribed, guys, please hit that subscribe button. It does help. We're on our way to 600. It would be great to reach that before the end of the season. Villarreal will be very similar to today's Everton game. Yeah, I think it will be, actually. I just think they're a better version of them. And my colleague James made a really good point that they were Villarreal were kind of Atletico without the shithousery. And I think it was a really, really good point that he made, because I actually completely agree with him. We saw him against Bayern Munich, soaking up the pressure, but they got some players that can hurt you on the break. Danjuma and Chukwueze, absolutely lightning quick, and I think they could cause us some problems. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that game. Champions League semi-final. For me, if it feels weird playing Villarreal, it feels like it's a last 16 or a quarter final. I'm trying to get my head into this is a semi-final. If we win this, we're in the Champions League final. We've already been there in 2005, 2007, 18, 19. In my lifetime, obviously many times as well before I graced this earth. But yeah, to be in it again in 2022 would be absolutely sensational. And we're going to have to earn it. Madrid or City in the final. I can't call that one personally. That's on the Tuesday. I'll definitely be watching that. I rarely watch other games of other teams, especially in Europe. But now City Madrid in the Champions League will be one to tune into. Absolutely. Can't wait for that one. James saying, yeah, the big factor is Manchester City, and unfortunately he's right. Liverpool have waited to have the best team of a generation. Unfortunately, the same time Manchester City have. These two juggernauts of teams would have dominated any era. And Manchester City pretty much have dominated this era anyway. With Liverpool realistically only really being a thorn in their side. Yes, we've stopped them winning the Champions League, and potentially if they'd have got past Spurs when Sterling scores that goal, would we have beat them in Madrid in the final in 2019? Possibly. But yeah, in terms of the Prem, yes, we've won one. But Man City have won a lot more. They've won. I think they've won 4 of the last 5, which is quite incredible, really. If you think about the money Man United spend, the money Chelsea spend, to be that consistent is quite incredible. So obviously the money is huge. The money that they spend is massive, and they're a juggernaut. That they're very, very difficult to stop. But Liverpool have been very clever, with their recruitment. You looks at Canate, Diaz. You got Carvalho coming in from Fulham in the summer as well. Not breaking the bank. It's not cheap, but it's not anywhere near the City, Chelsea, United levels of spending. It's a lot more sustainable. So, as I said at the beginning of the show, if we can get these contracts sorted in the summer, I would hate to start next season knowing that there's 3 players out of contract and they're the front 3. The OGs, the front 3, the Firmino, Salah, and Mane are all up at the end of next season. So Naby Keita is another one, I think, as well, who's running out of contract. Again, personally, I didn't see anything particularly special from Naby Keita today. I don't want to be uber critical, but for me, I know Henderson can't play every game every week, 2 games a week. I get that. Harvey Elliott seems to have just fallen off a cliff. I don't know what's happened to him. I think maybe it's too much pressure for a young lad at this moment in the season. Curtis Jones not getting a lot of minutes. Chamberlain, it's got to be leaving. He's not even kicking a ball. So yeah, I just Thiago is not the most reliable with fitness. Fabinho is consistently brilliant. Has the odd game here and there, but overall 9s and 10s out of 10 every week. James Milner is another one coming to the end of his career. So yeah, I'll be interested to see if we bring a midfielder in the summer. Who gets sorted with the contracts? I don't personally think we'll sell someone. I don't see like Mane being sold in the summer. I think they'll either sign a new contract or leave on a free. And my colleague James made a really good point that Sadio Mane is probably the one that's got the resale value. But on the flip side of that, Bobby Firmino is probably the least of the 3 of the resale value. So I think it's less of a hit if he leaves on a free transfer in the summer. He's been here before Klopp. He's, everybody thinks that Firmino is a Klopp signing, but he was here before him. He's such a kind of major cog in the way Klopp came into this football club. But as I've mentioned, I just feel that we've evolved past Bobby Firmino now, and he's still great to come in. He offers us stuff off the bench. Sometimes he starts in the big games and he does a really, really good performances. But yeah, Jota, Mane, Salah, all scoring goals, and Diaz now starting to get on the goals as well. I just feel that we've evolved past that now. We used to have the industrious 3 in the midfield of Wijnaldum, Henderson, and Fabinho, and we changed. We evolved. We got rid of Wijnaldum and we brought someone in with maybe not so much industrious energy box to box, but brought Thiago in, who's a class above in terms of ability with the football, the passes that he can make, and we changed our game. And a lot of the stuff that Liverpool do now is going through Thiago. We've got Robertson, Thiago, and Trent all the way across the middle. 3 creative players, left, centre, and right. And I just feel that Bobby Firmino isn't necessarily needed as much now. Now we've got all that creativity in there. I just don't think Bobby. You look at the last few months of the season that's just gone by. Firmino has played less than Diaz, Mane, Salah, and Jota. It's just the fact. Look it up, the minutes that they've played. So we shall see. We shall see what happens in the summer. James is saying Bellingham has agreed terms. I think that's a bit premature. I don't think I've seen anything about him agreeing terms, but it's an interesting one with Bellingham. Me and James do the Transfer Tuesday shows through the summer. We'll definitely be bringing those back once the transfer window reopens. Obviously, no World Cup this summer because it's stupidly in the winter. So there won't be any international tournaments to talk about over the summer. So transfers will keep us ticking over. But yeah, it will be interesting to see who does come in. I don't personally see Haaland and Bellingham leaving in the same summer. It's just my honest opinion. I don't think Dortmund are going to cash in on both. Bayern Munich have just won their 10th Bundesliga title in a row, which is incredibly boring. So, maybe Bellingham looks at that and thinks, I could spend another year here and come 2nd or 3rd and do nothing. Or I could just move on and play for the best team on the planet. So maybe he does, but I think he's got a lot of contract left. I think it's going to be probably triple figures for Bellingham. I'll be honest. I think 100 million it would cost to get him out of that club. And I don't see Liverpool spending that money. I don't see Liverpool breaking the 75 million for Van Dijk for a while. I really don't. I think we'll be looking back like the Andy Carroll signing when it was our record transfer for about 10 years. I personally don't see us breaking the Van Dijk fee for quite a while. I think Bellingham could be one in the future. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? The longer you leave Bellingham, the better he becomes, and potentially the more money he's worth. But on the flip side of that, a year less on his contract every single summer, you could maybe kind of get a cut price deal for him. And at the same time, going into next season, Diaz from the start, you got Jones and Elliott are going to play more minutes as well. So it's an interesting conundrum in midfield. It will be very interesting to see who we bring in, if anybody at all. Knowing Liverpool, we probably won't bring anybody in. We normally do it a summer too late. So, we'll go into next summer with the same midfield. Henderson will have injury problems. Thiago will have injury problems. Naby Keita, I still feel he's inconsistent in terms of injuries and performances. Milner, I don't see playing a lot of minutes next season. And we'll suddenly be having a midfield crisis. So whether we turn Bobby into a midfield free player, which me and James mentioned on the last show, quite possibly could do. But yeah, it'll be an interesting one. But obviously that's all to come. Liverpool overall still in all 4 competitions, as I said, a point behind Manchester City in the league. Some crunch games to come up. Champions League semi-finals on the horizon. FA Cup final on the horizon. I've been the Southern Scouser. This has been the Red Sea Full Time, and we will see you again soon. Take care, guys.